Ram Ram Hare Hare. Text number 6. Drashtha Swabhava Janitar Vapushaschcha Dosher Na Prakartatvavam Iha Bhakta Janasya Pashyat Ganga Bhasham Na Kalu Buddha Mena Pankir Brahma Dravatvam Apagacheti Niradharmahi. Being situated in his original Krishna consciousness position, a pure devotee does not identify with the body. Such a devotee should not be seen from a materialistic point of view. Indeed, one should overlook a devotee having a body born in a low family, or a body with a bad complexion, a deformed body, or a disease, or an infirm body. According, according to ordinary vision, such imperfections may seem prominent in the body of a pure devotee. But despite such a seeming defects, the body of a pure devotee cannot be polluted. It is exactly like the waters of the Ganges, which sometimes during the rainy season are full of bubbles, foam, and mud. The Ganges water do not become polluted. Those who are advanced in spiritual understanding will bath in the Ganges without considering the condition of the water. Purport by His divine grace, Shuddha Bhakti, the activity of the soul proper. In other words, engagement in the transcendental loving service of the Lord is performed in a liberated condition. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is stated, Mam cha yo ve vicharina bhakti yogina sevate sa gunan samitiyaten brahma bhuvaya kalpate. One who one who engages in full devotion service, who does not fall down in any circumstances, at once transcends the modes of material nature, and thus comes to the level of Brahman. Avibhacharini bhakti means unalloyed devotion. A person engaged in devotion service must be free from material motives. In this Krishna consciousness movement, one's consciousness must be changed. If consciousness is aimed towards material enjoyment, it is a material consciousness, and if it is aimed towards serving Krishna, it is Krishna consciousness. A surrendered soul serves Krishna without material consideration. Anya Balashita Sunyam Jnana Karmadhi Anavratam. Unalloyed devotional service, which is a transcendental to the activities of the body and the mind, such as Janana, mental speculation, and karma, fruitive work, is called pure Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga is the proper activity of the soul, and when one actually engages in unalloyed, uncontaminated devotion service, is already liberated. Sa Gunan Samitiyate. Krishna's devotee is not subject to material condition, even though his bodily feature may appear mentally conditioned. One should therefore not see a pure devotee from a materialistic point of view. Unless one is actually a devotee, he cannot see another devotee perfectly. As explained in the previous verse, there are three types of devotees: Kanishta Adhikari, Madhyam Adhikaris, and Uttam Adhikaris. The Kanishta Adhikari cannot distinguish between a devotee and the non devotee. He is simply concerned with the worshipping of the deity in the temple. A Madhyam Adhikari, however, can distinguish between the devotee and the non devotee, as well as between the devotee and the Lord. Thus, he treats the Supreme Personality of the Godhead, the devotee, and the non devotee in the different ways. No one should criticize the bodily defects of a pure devotee. If there are such defects, they should be overlooked. What should be taken into account is the spiritual master's main business, which is the devotional service, pure service to the Supreme Lord, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita. अपि च सुधाराचरो भजते माम अनन्यभक् साधुरेव सा मंतवया samyoga vyavasito hi saha. Even if a devotee sometimes seems to engage in abominable activities, he should be considered a sadhu or saintly person, because his actual identity is that of one engaged in the loving service of the Lord. In other words, he is not to be considered an ordinary human being. Even though a pure devotee may not be born in the Brahman or a Goswami family, if he is engaged in the service of the Lord, he should not be neglected. In actuality, there cannot be a family of Goswami based on material consideration, caste, or heredity. The Goswami title is actually the monopoly of the pure devotees. Thus, we speak of the six Goswamis headed by Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami. The Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami had practically become Mohammedans and had therefore changed their names to Dabar Khas and Sakar Malik. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself made them Goswamis. Therefore, Goswami title is not hereditary. The word Goswami refers to the one who can control his senses, who is the master of the senses. A devotee is not controlled by the senses, but in the controller of the senses. Consequently, he should not be called Swami or Goswami, even though he may not be born in a Goswami family. According to this formula, the Goswamis, who are transcendents of Sri Nityanand Prabhu and Advaita Prabhu, are certainly devotees. But because but devotees coming from other families should not be discriminated against. Indeed, whether the devotees come from a family of previous acharya or from an ordinary family, they should be treated equally. One should not think, oh, here is an American Goswami and discriminate against him. Nor should one think, here is a Nityanand Vamsa Goswami. There is an undercurrent of protest against our awarding the title Goswami to the American Vaishnava of the Krishna consciousness movement. Sometimes people flatly tell the American devotee that the sannyas of the title of Goswami is not bona fide. However, according to the statement of Srila Rupa Goswami in this verse, an American Goswami and a Goswami in a family of acharyas are non different. On the other hand, a devotee who has attained the title of Goswami but in bond of Brahman father or of a Goswami in the family of Nityananda Advaita Prabhu should not be artificially puffed up by thinking that he has become a Goswami. He should always remember that as soon as he becomes materially puffed up, he immediately falls down. This Krishna consciousness movement is a transcendental science and there is no room for jealousy. This movement is meant for the Paramhansas who are completely free from all jealousies. Paramam Nirmat Saranam. One should not be jealous whether he is born in the family of Goswamis or he has a title of Goswami awarded to him. As soon as anyone becomes envious, he falls on the platform of Paramhansa. If we consider the bodily defect of Vaishnava, we should understand that we are committing an offense at the lotus feet of the Vaishnava. An offense at the lotus feet of the Vaishnava is very, very serious. Indeed, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has described this offense as a hatimata, a mad elephant offense. A mad elephant can create disaster, especially when it's entered into a nice trimmed garden. One should therefore be very careful not to commit any offense against a Vaishnava. Every devotee should be ready to take instruction from a superior Vaishnava, and superior Vaishnava must be ready to help an inferior Vaishnava in all respects. One is superior or inferior according to his spiritual development in Krishna consciousness. One is forbidden to observe the activities of the pure Vaishnava from the material point of view. For the neophyte, especially considering a pure devotee from a material point of view is very, very injurious. One should therefore avoid observing a pure devotee externally, but should try to see the internal feature and understand how he is engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. In this way, one can avoid seeing the pure devotee from the material point of view, and thus one can gradually become a purified devotee himself. Those who think that Krishna consciousness is limited to a certain section of people, a certain section of devotee, or a certain tract of land, are generally prone to see the external feature of the devotee. Such neophyte is unable to appreciate the exalted service of the advanced devotee, trying to bring the Mahabhagavad to their platform. We experience such difficulty in propagating this Krishna consciousness all over the world. Unfortunately, we are surrounded by neophyte Goad brothers who do not part appreciate the extraordinary activities of spreading Krishna consciousness all over the world. They simply try to bring us to their platform and they try to criticize us in every respect. We very much regret that their naive activities and poor fund of knowledge. An empowered person who is actually engaged in the confidential service of the Lord should not be treated as an ordinary human being. For it is stated that unless one is empowered by Krishna, one cannot spread the Krishna consciousness movement all over the world. Text 7. When one thus criticizes a pure devotee, he commits an offense, Vaishnava Aparadh, that is very obstructive and dangerous for those who desire to advance in Krishna consciousness. A person cannot derive any spiritual benefit when he offends the lotus feet of Vaishnava. Everyone should therefore be very careful not to be jealous of an empowered Vaishnava or a Sudh Vaishnava. It is also an offense to consider an empowered Vaishnava an object of disciplinary action. It is offensive to try to give him advice or to correct him. One can distinguish between a neophyte Vaishnava and an advanced Vaishnava by their activities. The advanced Vaishnava is always situated in the spiritual master, and the neophyte is always considered his disciple. The spiritual master must not be subjected to the advice of a disciple, nor should a spiritual master be obliged to take instruction from those who are not his disciples. This is the sum and substance of Srila Rupa Goswami advice in the sixth verse. Next, number 7. Sayat Krishna Nam Charitadi Chitapi Avidya Pito Pata Pata Rasanasya Na Ruchika Nu Kintav Dharad Anudinam Kalu Seva Dusta Svadvi Karmad Bhavati Tadagada Mula Hantri. Okay, translation. The holy name, character, pastime, and activities of the Krishna are all transcendental sweet like sugar candy. Although the tongue of one afflicted by the jaundice of avidya, ignorance, cannot taste anything sweet, it is wonderful that simply by carefully chanting these sweet names every day, a natural relish awakens within this tongue, and the disease is gradually destroyed at the root. Purport by His divine grace, the holy name of Lord Krishna, His qualities, His pastimes, and so forth are all of the nature of absolute truth, beauty, and bliss. Naturally, they are very sweet, like sugar candy, which appeals to everyone. Nescience, however, is compared to the disease called jaundice, which is caused by bilious secretions. Attacked by jaundice, the tongue of a diseased person cannot palatably relish sugar candy. Rather, a person with jaundice considers something sweet to taste very bitter. With the ignorance similarly perverts the ability to relish the transcendently palatable name, quality, form, and pastime of the Krishna. Despite this disease, if one with great care and attention takes to Krishna consciousness, chanting the holy name and hearing Krishna's transcendental pastime, his ignorance will be destroyed and his tongue unable to taste the sweetness of the transcendental nature of the Krishna and his paraphernalia. Such a recovery of spiritual health is possible only by the regular cultivation of Krishna consciousness. When a man in the material world takes more interest in the materialistic way of life than in Krishna consciousness, he is considered to be in a diseased condition. The normal condition is to remain an eternal servant of the Lord. Jivera Savrubh Hoye Krishna Nityadas. This healthy condition is lost when the living entity forgets Krishna due to being attracted by the external features of Krishna's Maya energy. This world of Maya is called Durashare, which means false or bad shelter. One who puts his faith in Durashare becomes a candidate for hoping against hope. In the material world, everyone is trying to become happy, and although these material attempts are baffled in every way, due to their nescience, they cannot understand their mistakes. People try to rectify one mistake by making another mistake. So, this is the way of struggle for existence in the material world. If one in the condition is advised to take to Krishna consciousness and be happy, he does not accept such instruction. This Krishna consciousness movement is being spread all over the world just to remedy this gross ignorance. People in general are misled by blind leaders. The leaders of human society, the politicians, philosophers, and scientists are blind because they are not Krishna consciousness. According to the Bhagavad Gita, because they are bereft of all factual knowledge due to their atheistic way of life, they are naturally or actually a sinful rascal and are the lowest among men. Na mam duskrinito muda parpadayante naradamana maya farta jnanana asuram bhavam ashrita. Those miscreants who are grossly foolish, lowest among mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, who partake of the atheistic nature of the demon, do not surrender unto me. Such people never surrender to Krishna and they oppose the endeavor of those who wish to take Krishna's shelter. When such atheists become leader of the society, the entire atmosphere is charged with the nescience. In such a condition, people do not become very enthusiastic to receive this Krishna consciousness movement. Just as a diseased person suffering from jaundice does not relish the taste of sugar candy. However, one must know that for jaundice, sugar candy is the only specific medicine. Similarly, in the present confused state of humanity, Krishna consciousness, the chanting of the holy name of the Lord, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, is the only remedy for setting the world aright. Although Krishna consciousness may not be very palatable for a diseased person, Srila Rupa Goswami nonetheless advises that if one wants to be cured of the material disease, he must take to it with great care and attention. One begins his treatment by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, because by chanting this holy name of the Lord, a person in the material condition will be relieved from all misconceptions. Cheto Darpanam Marjanam. Avidya, a misconception about one's spiritual identity, provides the foundation for ahankar, or false ego within the heart. The real disease is in the heart. If the mind is cleansed, however, if consciousness is cleaned, a person cannot be harmed by the material disease. To cleanse the mind and heart from all misconception, one should take to this chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. This is both easy and beneficial. By chanting the holy name of the Lord, one is immediately freed from the blazing fire of material existence. There are three stages in chanting the holy name of the Lord: offensive stage, the stage of lessening offenses, and the pure stage. When a neophyte takes to the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, he generally commits many offenses. There are 10 basic offenses, and if the devotee avoids these, he can glimpse the next stage, which is situated between offensive chanting and pure chanting. When one attains the pure stage, he is immediately liberated. This is called Bhav Mahadavagni Nirvapana. As soon as one is liberated from the blazing fire of material existence, he can release the taste of transcendental life. The conclusion is that in order to get free from the material disease, one must take to the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. The Krishna consciousness movement is specially meant for creating an atmosphere in which people can take to the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. One must begin with faith, and when this faith is increased by chanting, a person can become a member of the society. We are sending Sankirtan parties all over the world, and they are experiencing that even in the remotest part of the world where there is no knowledge of Krishna, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra attracts thousands of men to our camp. In some areas, people begin to imitate the devotee by shaving their heads and chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra only a few days after hearing the mantra. This may be imitative, but imitation of good thing is desired. Some imitators gradually become interested in is being initiated by the spiritual master and offer themselves for initiation. If one is sincere, he is initiated, and this stage is called Bhajan Kriya. One then gradually engages in the service of the Lord by regularly chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra 16 rounds daily and refraining from illicit sex, intoxication, meat eating, and gambling. By Bhajan Kriya, one attains freedom from the contamination of materialistic life. He no longer goes to a restaurant or hotel to taste so called palatable dishes made with meat and onions. Nor does he nor does he care to smoke or drink tea or coffee. He is he not only refrains from illicit sex but avoids sex life entirely, nor is he interested in wasting his time in speculating or gambling. This way it is to be understood that one is becoming cleansed of unwanted things, anartha nivritti. The word anartha refers to unwanted things. Anartha are vanquished when one becomes attached to the Krishna consciousness movement. When a person is relieved from unwanted things, he becomes fixed in executing his Krishna conscious activities. Indeed, he becomes attached to such activities and experiences ecstasy in executing devotional service. This is called bhav, the preliminary awakening of dormant love of Godhead. Thus, the conditioned soul becomes free from material existence and loses interest in the bodily conception of life. including material opulence, material knowledge, and material attraction of all variety. At such a time, one can understand who is the supreme personality of the Godhead and is what his Maya is. Although Maya may be present, it cannot disturb the devotee once he attains to the Bhava stage. This is called devotee can see the real position of Maya. Maya means forgetfulness of Krishna, and forgetfulness of Krishna and Krishna consciousness stands side by lightning and shadow. If one remain in shadow, then he cannot enjoy the facility offered by the light. If one remain in light, he cannot be disturbed by the darkness of shadow. By taking to Krishna consciousness, one gradually becomes liberated and remains in the light. Indeed, he does not even touch the darkness, as confirmed in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. कृष्ण सूर्य समा माया है अंधकार यहाँ कृष्ण तहाँ नहीं माया अधिकार. Krishna is compared to sunshine and Maya is compared to the darkness. Wherever there is sunshine, there cannot be darkness. A person, as one takes to Krishna consciousness, the the darkness of illusion, the influence of external energy will immediately vanish.